available. Oh, it's done.
Okay.
Good.
So, guys, I am starting with recording. The recording will be available on the YouTube channel probably in the next few days. So today's chair is Mark Tennant. Mark, the floor is yours, and just go ahead.
Thank you. And it's really nice to be here. And I'm relatively new to this journey. And as I said, I'm actually not an emeritus myself. I'm the chair of the academic board at the University of Western Australia, and at the same time that I'm a Senate member. So that's in the United States that would be called a regent. And what I wanted to do today was share a little about where we are and what our university is, and then the journey we've had with making sure our emeritus are well looked after and are part of our university still. So I listened to a couple of the previous meetings and the discussions, the interesting discussions about being left out and things, and I thought, our story is probably something worth listening to. Obviously, many of you know I'm speaking from Perth in Western Australia, and that is 15,000 kilometres from Paris as a random European city. And Jose is absolutely correct. It's currently just after 11 o'clock at night here, so we are a long distance away. I suppose on the positive front, our winters are extremely mild. Currently, we're in the depth of winter, and today was 16, 17, 18 degrees Celsius. So it's not exactly the hardest winters to put up with where we are. I wanted to share that the city we're in is Perth in Western Australia, and Perth, our city, is about 2.5 million people. So it's a relatively small city. It's definitely one of the world's most isolated cities. And just to give you a little bit of the scale, we are in a state, and our state is the equivalent area of the entire of Western Europe. So if I said to you 2.5 million people live in the city, and the remaining 300,000 are spread out across that 1 million square kilometres, give or take. In fact, just to give a great statistic, if you take every Australian and spread them out evenly over our country, no Australian would see another Australian. We're about 25, 27 million people spread over 7 million square kilometres, but we are actually fundamentally clustered into these major cities. The city we're in, Perth, this is a photo from summertime that I took, has about 5 universities within it. Now, your immediate reaction is that's a lot of universities. Australia as a whole has about 38 universities, of which we only have 2 private universities. So all of these universities you're going to hear about in Perth, bar one, are federal government funded. So these are my university, the University of Western Australia, is a government-funded public university. And the university itself is, I think on the scales you guys are from, is a relatively small university at 30,000 students. In Australia, that is a relatively small university. Our counterpart at the largest university of Western Australia is about 50 or 60,000, and in Australia, the largest university is about 70,000 students. Our university is about 3,000 staff, of which half are academics, give or take. And we have just over 200. Last year, we clicked over 200 emeritus professors, emeriti as we call them. that's 200 living emeritus professors. And I suppose the most interesting thing I can sell, the quirky thing I can share about the story is, until 4 years ago, we actually, as a university, did not know the names of our emeritus professors. An astonishing, this sounds terrible, but I was actually rang up by HR and asked which of our emeritus are still alive. So our human resources department didn't even know who our emeritus were. So it was an extraordinarily poor situation. And if you wanted to ask what relationship we had with our emeritus, I think the answer is what relationship? We had no relationship. We really didn't have any link to our emeritus at all. There was certainly no support or acknowledgement of them. There was nothing. In fact, the reason I moved into working on this journey was that my mentor became an emeritus, and the week he became an emeritus, he was told that he had to vacate his office and he might have a desk in the corner of the honours room. And, this is someone with the Order of Australia and, a very senior ranking academic. So I couldn't believe that this is what we did to the wisdom of our university. So I think the summary of our university until about 5 years ago was we didn't know who our emeritus were. We didn't have a relationship with them. It was up to their local schools to have a morning tea to celebrate their journey. There was nothing. And, the reality is that was inappropriate. So in the first part of the journey, we actually undertook a survey of our emeritus, and this is in US dollars. And we just did a survey of what they actually do and asked them to tell us their contribution in terms of papers, grant writing, mentoring, lectures, a whole suite of things. And to our shock, I'll be honest, I was shocked by these numbers. An enormous amount of money. This is, call it $50 million a year of service to the university. And certainly once we started talking about this around the university, it became a big talking point. A big influence in the journey was to actually put down some data and to talk about the contribution that our emeriti make. And we just wrote a little paper about it and handed it around through the executive of the university and things. I'm sort of preaching to the converted. Everyone knows in this group that emeriti contribute significantly to their institutions and significantly to society. Just to get you a little bit of a tweak of what we have emeritus professors, which is a title given for life, but we also have a separate title called a Senior Honorary Research Fellow. Mm-hmm. And you can be an emeritus and a Senior Honorary Research Fellow, or you can be one or the other. To hold the Senior Honorary Research Fellow title, really that is about being an active emeritus. So one is still undertaking research, undertaking teaching or whatever. And being a Senior Honorary Research Fellow in our university means that you're covered by insurances and a whole sequence of additional benefits. It's a staff position, an unpaid staff position. So about 3/4 of our current 200 living emeriti are also Senior Honorary Research Fellows, and that gives them some additional benefits that I'll talk about when we get to the benefits of being an emeritus now in our university. The beautiful thing is we still have, and I'm sure you'll all have stories, we still have active double-badged individuals in their 90s still working within our university. We still have officers They still come to work. They enjoy their life. They're still contributing at 90 and 92. We lost one earlier in the year who published 3 papers in the year and passed away around Easter time, having published 3 papers during the year at 93 years of age. So we have a very constructive relationship, and we pride ourselves on the relationship we have with our emeritus and our senior honorary research fellows. The question you might ask is, who on earth would hold an emeritus title but not be a senior honorary research fellow? Well, clearly there comes a point in some people's lives where they're no longer active. My father-in-law is in an aged care facility around the corner here, an aged home as it may be called in other countries, and there's an emeritus professor there. And he doesn't hold a senior honorary research fellow anymore. He still retains the title of emeritus. So that's why we have this subgroup, and I'll talk about the difference in benefits of either of the subgroups. One of our first projects was to actually find out who our emeritus have been over the 110-year history of our university. We had no list. We had no honour board. We didn't acknowledge those emeritus. It was a long journey looking back through we call it the Senate, I don't know what you would call it, the peak body of the university, looking back through the minutes since the early 1900s to find them all. And we now have an honour board where all our emeritus from the entire history of the university are named, and we continue to add to that. This might be a good moment to talk about the change in the dynamic of the addition of emeriti. Australia in the mid-70s went through a significant growth in higher education. So we have a demographic distribution of academics that is sort of you'd call it bimodal. We have a significant elder population and a significant younger population. And currently, if you work out the timescale, 1975 to today, currently we have significant numbers retiring. So historically, the norm was about 4 or 5 new emeritus a year at our university. The last 4 years have seen 12, 15, 19. So our emeritus population is growing quite quickly at the moment because of the demographic distribution of our university. And that's fantastic, because that means there's more wisdom around to share amongst the university. I hope you've noticed my language here is being the use of the emeritus are part of or inside the university. I want that subliminal message to get through. It's not that the emeriti have set up their own little club that meets across the road in the pub or anything like that. They are, we continue to support them internally. That's the real message I want to get across here. So, about 7 years ago, we decided, me in particular, that we had to do something about this. And the idea came around that we would have a college within the university. It's a formal college. It doesn't have a governance role in the university, but it's a college. And that college is the Emeriti Professors College. Please feel free to search it out. You can keep up to date with what's going on. And that college is jointly run by Academic Board and our Alumni Relations unit within the university, which I must say has been a fantastic bringing together of skills and wisdom. The Academic Board piece has been great because it makes sure that this is an academic journey, looking after academics. And the Alumni Relations piece has brought in much of the social structure that we thought was important, and now our emeriti love and I'll show you some of that journey. The process has been long and difficult, and at times one step forward and three backwards. It's the usual story in these sorts of new developments in universities. It's not a smooth road, and I'll talk a wee bit about what was positive and what was negative in that journey. We did start for the first 3 years with fundamentally a dictatorship. It was myself and the head of alumni relations, and subsequently, about 2 years ago, we set up a board to run it. But we just felt that within the first few years, it was a dictatorship was probably the way to push this along to make sure it happened. So a bit embarrassed by that, but that was the way we actually got it off the ground. One of the really positive things we've seen is that the executive of our university have now gone, this college is something useful. These people are fantastic, and they have some time to do all sorts of tasks. I've written a little list there of the sorts of things that members of the college do. We keep a running list of what people are interested in. We have a complete database system. We keep what people are interested in. You know, are they having grandchildren this year and want their quiet time to their family? You know, they're all those sorts of social constructs that influence what they would like to do. And we literally hand match Emeriti to tasks that the executive of the university ring up from time to time saying, you know, the one that's a bit shocking on the list is disciplinary panels. You know, please could we have some independent Emeriti to assist with a disciplinary panel? And we go through and we hand match to those roles within the university. Everyone's a winner out of it. The Emeriti love the contribution piece. They are active. These are all unpaid roles. Scholarship selection, all those sorts of awards selection, all those sorts of things. The executive of the university think it's fantastic because often these roles are very hard to fill in other modes. So by picking up their phone and ringing the Emeriti College, we can then assist. I should just point out the college has no staff. This is a staffless college. It's looked after by a few of us who just do it on a volunteer basis around the university. And it works well that way. So I thought I'd show you some of the benefits of being a member of the college. So a member of the college, firstly, when you're inducted into the college, we have an induction dinner at the end of each year at the moment, when the dozen Emeriti, we have a dinner and they get almost like a graduation process. They get a lapel pin. The idea is to wear that around the university so staff can identify the wisdom in the room. So, and the lapel pin, we picked one of the beautiful architectural pieces and built the lapel pin from one of the architectural pieces of the university. More importantly, I think for most of the Emeriti is they have a single email address to get help. So unlike us poor staff who have to dig our way through the administrative jungle that is a modern university, the Emeriti get a single email address that whatever their question is it reimbursement for costs? Is it when is the next dinner? Is it do I get, my email's broken, can you help me? They get one single email address that they can send that question to, and we will internally distribute it to the appropriate people to answer their questions. That seems to be a rather valued element because I'm sure the universities you all come from as well will, the difficulty in finding the right person to help you is often half the problem. We certainly have a whole bunch of social events, the usual things, movie nights. We have every season we have a breakfast meeting, and meeting just means a breakfast on the veranda where people can have a collegiate time and share journeys. Each year, our Vice Chancellor has a sundowner evening where he talks about the university and where the university is going and what's happened over the last 12 months and where the future is. And he invites all the Emeriti to that. And that, I'll show you a picture of the sort of environment our university is. We usually hold it down by the river on a beautiful summer evening. Mm-hmm. This is one of the spaces that we use for our events. This is our university social club, and many of the breakfasts for our Emeriti are held at the university club. We also have a series of seminars, and the current series is around how to, I don't like the term how to retire gracefully, because I don't think I'm going to ever retire gracefully. So I'm not sure Emeriti are good at that gracefulness in retirement. They enjoy what they do. But also we have a number of psychiatrists and things who have presented to talk about retirement and what it means and those sorts of things. We've had a big push in the last 2 years about partners of Emeriti. So most of the social functions, and we have specific events and things for partners. We quickly we know from our own personal experiences that our better halves put up with hell to live life with academically minded professors and the eccentric nature of many of us. So we decided that we would celebrate and support the partners of Emeriti. We also make sure we support the partners of Emeriti who pass away, so they have a connection, they remain with a connection and things as well. We certainly have a process to look after bereavement within our college. That's something that that's something that came almost as a wee bit of a shock in the process of building our college, was that the only way out of the college was bereavement. And we wanted to make sure that that part of the college was looked after as well. So we're very strong on making sure partners are well looked after. We keep names in our database and things, to keep those connections. This is one of the breakfasts we have on the veranda. I think this was the spring one from last year, with partners invited. They happen early in the morning. We enjoy. They used to be booked for an hour. They now are booked for 2 hours. All the food and drink is free. The university covers the costs of all of this to make sure that they are looked after. And then I've heard many of you discuss IT as an issue. Our Emeriti get email for life and basic IT for life. So the Microsoft suite, shall we call it, for life. If you are also one of the senior honorary research fellows, which, as I said, about 3/4 are, you get equipment for life. So you get, well, I beg your pardon, I'll start that again. You get equipment whilst you remain a senior honorary research fellow. So your laptops and computing and everything, you are treated just like a staff member as a senior honorary research fellow. We also have set up a process where Emeriti were concerned that if they were incapacitated, that they wanted their work to be available to their number two, shall we say, a colleague. So we have a completely automated process now that, with the appropriate paperwork, within a couple of days of incapacitation, their email can be accessed by a colleague and things that they've approved prior to incapacitation. So we make sure they're well looked after, and some of the things that worry people, we aim to take some of the worry out of being an emeritus. So we get full support to our emeriti. They also get, obviously, the help desk, because IT can be tricky, and obviously universities' IT moves over time, so they get help desk access to support them and training and things as necessary. This year we added a new category. If any of you want to move to Perth, Western Australia, we'd love to have you. It's a beautiful environment. You might enjoy it. I'll show you a picture of the beach in a minute. If you did move to Perth, Western Australia as emeritus and made it your home, we now have collegiate membership of the college. So we have a number of people who, these are the inaugural 2 collegiate fellows. They live in Western Australia now, and their home emeritus institution is elsewhere. The nearest next city to us is 3,000 kilometres, 2,500 kilometres. So we are a very isolated city. So we now provide membership to those. They don't get the full benefits of, they don't get IT equipment and things, but they get all the social functions, and we're sorting through Email for Life for collegiate members. This is a brand new process for this year. So, we want to support all emeritus professors in our college, and this is our way of supporting people who are fundamentally homeless, shall we say, when they move to Perth. As I said, we're the University of Western Australia, the red arrow, but there are 4 other universities in Perth: Edith Cowan, Curtin, Murdoch, and Notre Dame is the private university. Curtin is the largest, with about 50,000 students, so 30% larger than us. We already have a relationship between the Emeritus College of UWA and Curtin University have an external association of emeriti. They've gone on a different path. Their emeriti have set up an external association. We have already made a link between those 2, and we invite their emeritus to our events, and their association invites our emeritus to their events. So there's already interaction there. And over this year, one of our missions is to bring together the other universities to have a statewide emeriti network. UWA will have about 200 emeriti. The other universities are relatively new, so they have far less. I'm not sure. I think Curtin has, I could be wrong, could be about 100, I think. Murdoch is 50, I think, and Edith Cowan's about 20 or something, smaller numbers. And we felt that if we could come together as a statewide network, that group could be quite an influential and assist government and assist society as well. So we are in the process of bringing together the partners from each of the universities. Just so you know, Murdoch, Edith Cowan and Notre Dame don't have any college. And in fact, they've looked at our model and gone, could you help us? So we're offering, I call it McDonald's. We're offering the approach of please take our model and feel free to, we'll help you use it. So I suspect the others will probably fall into this model or the Curtin model, and then we'll come together. We're going to have an event later in November where everyone is brought together to have a day together of some conference event. That's the plan. We are currently homeless, stateless. We're homeless at the moment. However, this is the very original university building of our university. This was the entire university at one point in about 1911. It was actually in the middle of the city of Perth, and they demolished it board by board and rebuilt it on the campus. And to give everyone a bit of a smile, half of it is actually the cricket club. This is at the cricket oval. And the other half is used as a meeting room and a teaching rooms and things. And our plan is to use that teaching room when it's not in teaching use, to use that as sort of a meeting space, a space to come and work, a space to bring students or guests to sit and talk, and a place that Emeriti can call home, shall we say. I think on the positive side, we've had long conversations with the heads of school around the university, and slowly over time, we're seeing the my story about my mentor being kicked out and put in the honours room, those stories are now disappearing, that Emeriti are being seen with a much more positive and constructive light at the level of a school. So I don't think we're seeing them being kicked out of offices any longer. I think that those days have gone, which is positive, but we are still going to put in place, I call it like an airport lounge in a sense for Emeriti. We'll have electronic latches. All Emeriti get access cards. That's part of the normal process in our university. So that's the plan. Hopefully that will come together this year as well. We have two big plans for the year. I just wanted to reflect as a last slide on what were the problems and what made it easier. The obvious problem, and I've heard it from many of you guys as well, the obvious problem was, decades and decades of neglect. Emeriti was seen literally as a burden, and I think I've heard those words from others as well. And I think one of the turning points was actually collecting some data and having a sheet of paper that said, hey, listen, this is the contribution. And putting some numbers against it, that made a really big difference. So, that the culture of Emeriti are a burden has been a very difficult culture to fight back. I don't think we've won. I think it's an ongoing battle, but I think we're better than we were now. Some of the solutions that made it positive, I'll never forget going to our Vice-Chancellor. He was new at the time and going, well, this is the plan, sir. And I'll never forget the first line. He said, well, don't we already have that? And clearly that was the Canadian or North American culture of, please, you keep your alumni close and you keep your executive alumni close. So it wasn't a huge battle. There was no talking our Vice-Chancellor into this would be a good idea. It was like, why has this not been done years ago? I think the other thing was the two of us who fundamentally thought up the idea simultaneously, the head of alumni relations and ourselves, we're from two groups that the synergies were clearly obvious. The synergies worked. I confess, us at Academic Board, we are useless at organising social stuff. It's the last thing on my list of talents, whereas alumni relations, that's part of their business. And so the synergies of the two founders was a perfect match that that brought the college to fruition. The two of us have been stable in the university. You guys must see the same thing in your universities, that quite a lot of instability in turnover, particularly in the professional staff sector. I think our turnover is about 15% or something, so it's quite high. Whereas the two of us have been in place for, I've been 40 years. My colleague's been 15 or something. So, we know the stories, we know the Emeriti by name, we can build the database because we know them. And so that was a really positive as well. So that's where I'm going to sort of stop talking, I think. Yes, that's where I'm going to stop talking. I thought it's a chance to have a chat and share other stories. And obviously, I'm really happy to hear what people think. So, please, happy to hear people's thoughts.
Mark?
Eric, go for it. Yes, mate.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. My wife and I have been thinking about traveling to Australia, but it's a long plane ride over there. But after hearing you, I'm moving it up on my list of places to go sometime, and I'd be delighted to visit your university sometime in the future. You make it sound very interesting. It is a very interesting place. My question is, and you may have mentioned this already, the Emeriti College, is that for professors, or do you include people who are not academic in that? For example, at Minnesota, we include everybody that has ever been employed at the University of Minnesota: staff, faculty, bargaining unit, union people, everybody.
That's an interesting question. We hold the definition is for purely the professoriate who are appointed to the status of emeritus at the ends of their career. Just to give you an idea, that's probably about, I'll make this up, call it 10 or 20%, 10% of professors become emeritus in our university on their retirement. They are recommended by their school. It's then approved by academic board, and finally our Senate, our governing body, our council, I think it would be called in America, finally gets the say on yes or no. So it's only for that subgroup. Just out of quirky interest, in our journey through history, we found that we had one emeritus librarian and we had one emeritus registrar. Both have passed away, but in our history, that's all we've had from the professional side. They were astounding contributors to our university, so I can see why they got that title. But otherwise, it's purely for the academic piece at the moment. Eric?
Yeah, thank you.
Walter, go ahead.
Yes.
I was very interested in this talk. This is amazing, and it's quite different from what we have at most Canadian universities. There are a couple, University of British Columbia and University of Toronto, that are members of CURAC, that's the organization I had.
Yeah.
But most of them are what I believe you refer to as external retiree associations, and that's what exists at my university, University of Alberta, and most of the members of CURAC. But I was wondering about your vice chancellor. That's, for those of you who don't know, that's equivalent to president.
Yes, thank you.
Which university in Canada did he come from, or he or she come from? Because I can't imagine only those two, University of British Columbia, University of Toronto, that have a similar sort of organization to what you've described.
Correct. It's Amit Chakma, and he came from the University of Waterloo. And you are right. He did not. He didn't actually. When he said that, I think he had the model you've just been speaking about, the association in his mind. We explained that we had something slightly different, and he was happy to take on board the variation.
Yes, good.
He's been a good export from Canada. Thank you, Walter.
Yes. Well, I think you're going to return the favor by the recording of this session. I think will be extremely valuable when I show it to my colleagues here. This is how they did it at University of Western Ontario, Western Australia.
Australia.
Mm.
Pleasure, Walter. And if your gang would like me to come and chat, I'm more than happy to chat. More than happy, mate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. Yes, Carol.
Uh,
Oh, you're on mute, Carol.
May I speak?
Second,
Hang on,
Luigi.
there we
Carol
go.
was
Wait for
first.
Carol.
Luigi.
Yeah.
Luigi can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. The first impression I have is lucky you're emeriti, because what you have just described to us is a word not so popular, not so common in Europe. The second, after this impression, what I ask you is, which is the percentage of emeriti in the retired group of professors? I mean, the other resources that are not emeriti are considered yet in a less important degree, or they are not considered at all. That means that the board between emeriti and retired is so strong that we risk to lose other important resources.
Luigi, you've raised a really good point, and it's a point that we're grappling with. It's not just other professors, but we also have, I don't know if you use the same word as me, adjunct and clinical professors. I would almost call them, nearly volunteers who teach within the institution as well. So we have a whole series of groups that we as a university owe gratitude and owe respect. It's a work in progress, Luigi. I'll be honest with you. The head of alumni relations and I have been talking about these particular groups, the group you raised and the others, about how we can, put some arms around them as well. This started out purely. I'll be honest. This started out because of my experience with my mentor. It started out. I'm good. I wanted to sort out the emeriti as a personal thing.
Thank you, Mark. So, my hope is that you can act as guide for us, because we need some example as yours. Thank you.
Pleasure, Luigi. Yeah. Carol, come on.
Yeah. Hi. Great to hear from you, Mark, because I'm with the Later Life Learning group with CURAC in Canada, and have been trying to get more and more members. Now, a lot of faculty get emeriti status, but they leave. They leave completely. They don't want to join the Retiree Association. How does it happen at your university? Does everybody who's newly appointed emeriti want to join?
This is terrible, Carol, and I'm embarrassed to now say it. Now I think about it, it's just mandatory.
Oh, I
like
see.
Wow. when you come to your induction to be a new emeritus, can I tell you, we've never even thought about, do you want to be a member or not?
They have to.
You are.
Good.
And now that then, it's not that we order you to work or we order anything like that. You can choose how you want to take that membership pathway with you. And there are a few, I'd say 20% who disappear to the golf course, shall we say.
Yeah.
That's their choice. That's cool. But you are a member.
Aha, good. Because that's the biggest challenge I think we face in Canada. So many emeriti do not want, no. Or they continue teaching and considered a faculty member or, like you say, a senior honorary
Honorary research
research.
fellow.
How did you get that started, though, to make it mandatory?
Do you know, Carol, I'm going to be honest with you. We'd never even thought of not. It was like that's a revelation. Your conversation is a revelation to me. It's like it was just like, well, when we tick this box at the Senate,
Yeah.
it goes to here, and then they're booked in for the next induction, and then done.
Wonderful.
Mark did
That
say that they started out with a dictatorship, so there
yeah,
is.
yeah, and you're
Well,
looking at the one,
yeah.
I take fault,
Well, I like that. Okay. Thank you very much.
pleasure.
Raymond,
Ray,
Raymond, go ahead.
yeah.
Okay. Mark, fascinating story that you're sharing with us. I don't know of a similar institution over in my country, in Switzerland. Of course, people meet and socialize but mostly at general events, not just only for the Emeriti. Now, if I got you right, you mentioned something about you want to also be at the service or offer services and attract emeritus from other parts of Australia. If I got that right, I was wondering what's behind it. Do you want to become the center of the
No,
Emeriti professors of Australia,
yeah,
or is there something
no,
else behind it?
yes. Just to be clear, it's if you are an emeritus elsewhere and come and become resident in Perth,
Uh-huh.
we want to give you somewhere that you can be part of an emeritus group. So that's the collegiate member. So it's not if you live in Sydney, congratulations, you're now a member of our. We're not greedy, Ray. We're not greedy. It's really to support people who have moved. Well, in the case of one of our two inaugural, or both of them, have actually been away for 3 decades, became emeritus in the east coast of Australia, and then have returned because their grandchildren and things are here, and thus we've given them a collegiate home. So that's that group. The statewide network, people will still be Curtin emeritus, but we just want to share stories and maybe have a meeting each year together and things. So no, we're not going to be sucking up all the Swiss emeriti.
Or Australian.
Or Australian, yeah.
Right, sure. Thanks.
There's something similar in Canada. Some of the retiree associations do the same thing. If someone moves to their city and is eligible at a different university, the place where Carol Lenavanek is at the University of Calgary has that policy, and I know at least one person that they have accepted into their organization who moved to Calgary. I don't know why.
Yeah. Look, I think, emeriti are so their whole life has been about networks and connections and things. To suddenly, after 30 years, return to your home place and not have an academic interlock sort of thing, I personally, I would find horrible. So, I think, that's one of the pieces of the jigsaw, I think, to look after people. Particularly, I think it makes a difference when your city, the next nearest city is 2,500 kilometres away. I think that makes a big difference. You can't just pop on a train and visit, France or something. It just doesn't work.
Hi, Mark. This is Michael Gurdon from the University of Vermont.
Yeah.
Interesting presentation. I was particularly taken by the fact that you conducted the research study of contributions of emeriti. We did something similarly well, less than a year ago, we have a retired faculty and administrative officers association, over 600 on our email listserv. So we conducted a survey to find out what their contributions have been. And you're quite right. We have some individuals who are in the 30 plus years of retirement classification who are still publishing. So the significance of contributions in terms of refereed journal articles, books, turning up to give lectures at classes at the university, contributions on boards of directors in the community and so forth. It was quite astounding. And so we shared that with the significant decision makers in the administration. And I think that they understand the importance of our constituency to the university community. But I think that really impressed even more upon them what we do and what our potential is. And of course, as you indicated, the Alumni Association, what we call our UVM foundation board that raises money, also needs to understand, and I think do understand, why it's so critical to keep us attached to the institution. There's a very good, when they're looking for people to donate, this is obviously a pool of that potential donation. So I'd encourage others here who haven't done that to perhaps conduct similar research projects. Thank you.
Just to add, I totally agree with you. That's why I put it right up front. I would recommend, university administrators are we're all the same. Dollars and numbers are at the front of our head all the time. We ain't got enough of them. We're trying to make them squeeze out, sort of thing. And so as soon as you put in front of people that, hey, listen, in our case, that quantum is about the size of the largest single philanthropic donation ever given to our university every year. So when you start talking like that, like you said, people do start to listen. And the amount for 4 breakfasts and 2 movie nights or so,
it's minimal. Yeah.
We're not talking, the Chancellery's milk money, really. It's the actual dollar cost of a journey like this is not an enormous cost for making it. An email address you currently provide 40,000 email addresses, another 200. Let's not even talk about it. So. And I must say, I suppose I will empathise that it did take nearly 4 years to negotiate with IT to get to that. So, despite me presenting it as, this is just the way it was, it was not an easy journey to get to there, even at that level. Carol,
you're
can't
muted.
hear Carol.
Yeah,
that's it.
I have dual citizenship, so I live part of the year over here in France, in Bretagne. But in any case, my question is, would you share with us the kind of questions you put out for this?
Yes.
And Michel, is it your name Michel Gourdon? Yeah, your name.
Michael Gurdon.
Yeah, Michael. Would you
Australian
share
in that
also?
background as well.
Yeah, would you share also your questionnaire or the kinds of format you used for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's available on our website. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is.
And the results are available. So if you go to the University of Vermont retired faculty and administrative officers site. The results of the survey, the questions, obviously, and the quantitative empirical results are
Are all
available.
there.
Yep.
Okay. Did anyone pay you for any research institute pay you, give you a grant for that?
No, we got an executive board. We had a couple of people put the questions together, and we have a listserv of, as I said, over 600
Yeah.
on it, and we just send that out.
Did you have to go through the ethics committee, each of you?
No need for us to do that. No.
No,
There
no,
was no
because it's
need for
just
us.
a survey, so really.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mark, what about you? Will you?
More than happy to share the questions with you. You just drop me an email. They'll be coming to you.
Okay.
We,
Are there
we didn't
others here who are interested maybe in the same
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
I'll send them over to Jose, and please pass them around. That's fine. Not an issue. And we followed
Good.
exactly the same process as Michael. And I was, well, with often these survey pieces, these qualitative pieces of work, you get a 20% response rate or something like that. But
That's right.
to show the passion of this group, our response rate was like 80%. So there was no ambiguity in the data. It was not like, oh, Mark, you can't extrapolate from that. It was like, the story's over, sort of thing. And I think that's a reflection of, you guys see it too, the passion of your Emeriti.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Super.
Mark, so you brought us up to date with what you've done, a little bit of the history. What are some of the things that you're planning to do going forward? Are there additional parts of your organization that you want to expand into or to add on?
I put two up that I think are really important. The statewide network, because we are a very small state. Call us just under 3 million people. Over 1 million square kilometers. There's some very complicated dynamics in our demographic and poverty and wealth and those sorts of things. We're a very strange. One day, if people want to hear, I'll send some stuff about that. It's very strange, our state. So that statewide network to contribute to the wider community is a really important piece. Our community has fell out of love with universities. The Harvard story is the extreme end of falling out of love, shall we call it? In our nation, there's been some of that falling out of love with higher education. So I think if we can make a clear contribution, identifiable back to our state and our community, that's something that I want to see. So that's number one, the statewide network. Mm-hmm. And the physical home at our national university, Australian National University, they have a little physical home for some of their Emeriti and things. I want to get that finished this year. I think that's really important. And the longer term third thing on the list is I think what Walter and I were talking about is, the clinical, the adjuncts. Mm-hmm. We've got to start being kind to that wider volunteer group within our institution.
Mm-hmm. Super.
That's the three ones on the front. Yes, go for it, mate. Oh,
need to unmute.
Here.
Listening to you, one can get an impression that the advantage you have is large country, long distances, and you are forced to be better. Well, considering the situation in Europe, I would say this may be too simplified conclusion. We are close enough, we are very close. In my country, you drive 1 hour or 1 hour and a half in, you leave the country, and we have 5 countries around, Italy, Austria, Hungary, Croatia, 4 countries. So everything is close. However, we are not smart enough. Well, naturally, we are not different than you are. God was honest, delivering, brains all over the world. But at least we can say we are not informed enough. We don't know. We
I
started
think
to learn from Canada. Now we are learning from Australia. And here comes my question. This is just too good to keep a secret for Perth and Western Australia. Too good. And since it doesn't cost anything to share, what would you propose to do? One was already a decision, I understand, proposed by Carolee, that you will share the questionnaire. And this is great. At least people will start thinking that there may be similar questions, but they were not aware of them. What else could you do? Perhaps a modest, however straightforward, a research into what is going in other places and how people can be helped. We can rely upon those who know and who can prove it works. What would you suggest in the interest of emeriti professors and all retired professors who are many, but they are sort of buried. They are on the cemetery. They are gone and nobody cares about them. And I took a note until 5 years ago, we didn't know about others. And then you said, it's fantastic. It's fantastic what you are telling us. And you're telling us that it was fantastic how you made it work in Western Australia and your university, Perth. What would you suggest?
I think, the first thing is obviously to offer the wisdom of our journey. And, anyone who would like us to come and talk with your groups or talk with your executive of your university, very happy to share our journey, very happy to try and help executive members of universities understand that it's less than the milk money and you get such value from it. So very happy to share our wisdom across the world. I want to come back to your first bit and then I'll come back. But your first bit about being smart, I think when you are so isolated, you have to think differently and you have to think about how you're going to adapt to that isolation. The great example I give to all of you is I suspect none of you go out choosing a new laptop based on the amount of battery power in it. I suspect you don't even know the battery sizes in your laptops. Whereas people from here, we need a battery that will last us the 7 hours of flight across the Indian Ocean just to get started. So we pick laptops based on the battery power to make it to Dubai. So, it's there's a natural difference. There's a natural difference when you are so isolated that you have to think smart and adapt to the smallness of that. Getting back to what else we can do. Certainly we can share questions. I have been meaning to write it up as well. We haven't written up our journey yet, be it, probably not a research paper, but actually document the journey to pass on to people who can, take from it and learn. Please, our website, the college has a website that lists the benefits and things, and we try to keep that up to date about what's there. But I think the other thing we should do is write it up. And the irony in this is over the last 2 weeks, I've been going, what else has been going on in the 37 other universities in Australia? Because I don't even know. And so I've had to do a ring around and go, are you doing anything? I'll give you the short answer. There's nothing else going on. There's the odd social function or stuff. There's nothing. But by getting a report out of what that 5 years has been like, I think would really value add to everyone to be able to take it to their vice chancellor, their president, and go, come on, get your checkbook out. Let's get this started. Hey, that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just got to get the pen on the paper.
Yeah.
Carol.
Could I just mention, Australia's been way ahead, though. Have you heard of the University of the Third Age online?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that started about 25 years ago, and the
Yeah.
government paid for it so that
Yep.
all older people would know how to
Yep.
work online. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
look, there's been some really good stuff done in Australia.
yeah.
We have the other one I talk about regularly is what we have is called men's sheds. It's they have like a workshop that community members can be part of, and it's not just for men in many places. Lots of them are, but some aren't. And I've been asked to do talks about male health and population health and things at these. So although it's a workshop to build stuff for the community or do projects or whatever, they also use it as a way of improving the mental health of elderly males and things. So we've done some quite, and that's government funded as well. We've done some positive things in the aging area. Some is terrible. I have to be honest. We're like every other country. We have bits that are good and bits that are bad.
Yeah, wonderful.
Mark, it's interesting hearing how these various what we call retirement organizations are structured. And within the Big Ten here in the United States, which now includes 18 different schools, including Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC, Michigan, Minnesota, and the list goes on. Each of our retirement organizations are different from each other in some of the details.
Yeah.
We have some that are within their higher education institution, and ours at Minnesota, which is outside as a nonprofit organization. I just wanted to comment that it's interesting how we have all these different models, but that we can all learn from each other in settings like this. So thanks for getting us together. I mean, this is fantastic, so that we can think. I think, as you're saying, think differently about how we do things, because our organization here in Minnesota has been around for 40 years. So there are various things, the various structures and bureaucracies that we have in place. But every once in a while, it's good to think, now, why do we do that? And the answer can't be because we've always done it that way. There has to be a reason for it. So I just want to thank you, Mark, for bringing these new ideas to us. So I appreciate that.
Pleasure, Eric. Pleasure. And you're absolutely right. Even in our own city, I said to you, Curtin University has your model, and we have the model, and we're only 8 kilometres apart. So it is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a membership fee, though, No? Because I wanted to join the European Association of Professor Emeriti, and they said 50 euros a year. And I said, that's a lot, in Canadian dollars. Couldn't we have it half price? But they said no. But fortunately, someone paid my membership.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe this is an appropriate time to bring up. I hope so. And I didn't know if I should mention this or not, but as some of you are aware, I'm part of an organization called Emeriti in the United States, or in North America currently. We want to expand that across the entire planet to include all parts and all the continents. So ROHI is the Association of Retirement Organizations in Higher Education. Walter is familiar with this. I can't remember who else is familiar with this.
I am too, Sandy.
Oh, yeah, Carol. Yep, Carol. So I'm president-elect of that. I take office in 2027. But one of the things that we've just created within the past couple of months is a virtual retirement organization or a chapter that would be a part of Rohi. And the reason that we put this together is that there are many people around the world who don't have their own retirement organization associated with our higher education institution, which I think is the best way to do it, to have a retirement organization either inside of the higher education institution or outside, but closely connected, like we are at Minnesota. So for everybody else that doesn't have a retirement organization, we wanted to give them a venue or a place where they could get together with other people from around the world who don't have their own retirement organization. So we just launched that. It hasn't been formally announced, but it is available on our website, which is arohe.org. And under membership, you can see information about that. So I only want to mention that briefly in case you know of other people who don't have their own retirement organization, but would like to interact and connect with other people around the world that are retirees from higher education. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. And
there are a lot
Eric,
of other.
it would be free, right?
It'd be $20 per year.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah,
20
$20.
US dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, US dollars, correct. Right.
That's more
And the
than
reason for that is we do have a half-time executive director, so we need to pay her. She actually comes from Harvard, is where her background is. Valerie Sutton, Sutton, is our executive director. Everybody else is volunteer. But there are several advantages that you can see if you go to our website. But one of those is that it's already set up as a nonprofit, so you don't have to do that. We already have bylaws in place. We already have CRM database systems. And so all of those structural kinds of things are already in place. And we will be convening this group of people. I think we have a small number of people that have already signed up, and we haven't even announced it yet. So we're already starting to draw some people. And there's some Microsoft Office costs and things like that. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that it does exist. We'll have a more formal announcement probably within the next month or so. But that is, from my viewpoint, secondary to the best way, the way that Mark mentioned it at University of Western Australia, the way that we do it in Minnesota, and the way that Walter does it, where he's located in Canada. That's the best way. So this is, we're creating this as an alternative for people that don't have access to the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Now,
should we sort of wrap up? We're sort of come to the hour. Well, for me, it's after midnight. So.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we better wrap up.
Yeah, Mark, we appreciate that. My wife and I were just in Japan a couple of weeks ago. It's a 13-hour plane ride, 14-hour time zone difference. I can't remember what the time zone difference is now, but it's taken me 2 weeks to recover from the jet lag. So appreciate you. And I know it's not jet lag, but being up after midnight. So thanks for doing that.
Well, it's interesting. We shouldn't talk any longer, but that's another thing that people from this sort of town. The closest city is 2.5 time zones away in summer. So we face jet lag traveling in our own country.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, enough from me. Thank you for the invitation. Anyone who would like us to share again or transmit our story, please just ask. Very happy to help.
Mark, I would like to thank you for your time in the middle of the night. We would like to keep it going. We cannot change the timing, but in order to have North America, Europe, and Australia, somehow at least one time zone has to suffer. You are kind enough to offer this opportunity.
Yeah, good.
So thank you very much. And I have a question for Eric. Eric, do we have to wait until the president-elect will become the president? Or can the president-elect do something, well, not tomorrow, maybe in September, in order to open up these opportunities? We have internet, we have Zoom technology, we have smart and thinking people, at least we have to help them to come together. Your
Yes.
organization can help a lot, and you are very much welcome to open it up, because in general, we have the same problems wherever you go. At least you have very powerful organization, which we don't. In
Yes.
Europe, sorry, we have nothing that would smell of an association of retired professors. Nothing. It's not because you are so smart. We are so smart. It's because we are so clumsy, not knowledgeable, lazy. Well, not smart enough. Thank you. Thank you,
Yep.
lady and gentlemen. Thank
Thank
you,
you
Alexander.
very much,
Thank you.
Josie.
Thank you for getting us together. Thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye.
No
Good seeing
problem.
you.
See
Okay.
you soon.